name is Captain Terrence Simon, Terrance, last name Simon, Simon.
My name is Officer Brian, Rayando Brian. It's Rayando, last name Bryan.
First, guys, just tell us what happened.
Well, on the day of the flooding, I got onto Peachtree Street, noticed a car that was stalled. At first, I did not know there was...
Can you put the microphone closer to you? Because, yeah, just put it close to the edge so you can talk, because we just slide it towards you, more towards you. Yeah, more towards you, more. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah, good, man.
So what happened Thursday?
Was the car in the middle of the road?
It was. It was stalled in the middle of the road. My first instinct was to stop traffic from having other cars go into the water. At first, as I stated, I did not know there was occupant in the car until I noticed that the car then started to drift. And then I can hear shouting. I guess bystanders, they were shouting, at which point I actually went in the water. As I approached, then I noticed that Captain was there, and then, we were able to assist the gentleman in getting out the car.
So what did things look like when you first arrived? It must have been a very crazy situation for you, because I heard the street looked drastically different.
Initially, the water was not that high until the water became high. When I got in the water, it was half my torso.
What was going through your mind at that moment as you were rushing out to that vehicle?
Just try to see if I could actually save the person in the car, relying on my training to, execute, make sure that persons there actually are saved.
How fast did things happen? I mean, you said the water wasn't that high at first, and then it was halfway up your torso.
Within the space of minutes, because in my initial call on the radio, advising there was a stalled vehicle to, hey, radio, I'm approaching this vehicle, hey, I'm breaking the window out.
So you see the captain. Kind of talk us through what happened when you guys started tag teaming this.
When I walked up to the actual vehicle, that's when I saw Captain. I'd asked him, was he able to actually get in the car, brake the car? And then that's when, we both stated to the gentleman, turn his face, because I knew at which point I was going to actually break the window.
And I heard this might have been some kind of rideshare situation. Is that what y'all figured out? Was it
That's correct,
like
yes.
an Uber or something like that?
That is correct, yes.
And were there passengers too, or was it just the driver?
I did not see one, but the gentleman did advise there was a female passenger in the car as well.
Okay, so there's a rideshare driver that just got stuck in the current.
That is correct, yes.
Now, had any water gotten into the vehicle at this point? Because I know we heard that the vehicle was actually lifted and was starting to float at that point.
There was actual water in the vehicle. I would say, not sure how far, but to the seat, to where when we actually, because he was asking towards the end where his phone was when I finally went back, his phone was covered in mud.
Captain, can you kind of walk us through like what you saw when you came upon it and what things looked like for you?
Initially, when I first received any information about this particular call, it came from our executive assistant in the fire department. She sits a few feet away from me in the office. So I just went outside to check things out. And what I noticed was a man in a car that appeared to be drowning. That's how high the water was. So I just went into action, and I would like to attribute that to my training.
So this wasn't like a little bit of water in the car. It was a serious situation.
No, you really have to know what you're doing. And fortunately for me and Officer Brian, we train really well here in Atlanta. And so when it's time to go into action, our training really kicks in.
And you guys really had it kick in on Thursday.
Yes, we did. That man's life was on the line. And being that we were able to cross-collaborate and mitigate the scene really quickly, we were able to save a man's life.
What happened to you said there was a passenger in the car also? Was she still in the car when you got there?
At that point, no. She wasn't on scene even after everything was done. I did not see the female.
Have you guys talked with the driver since then? How's he doing?
I have not.
I have not either.
And you work right here. Talk about the scene outside your office. I mean, I've never seen the water rise that fast. Have you ever seen the water rise that fast in Atlanta?
In 20 years, yes, I have, but not right outside of my office, no. So I was just happy that the area that I was in, I was just able to get to where the citizen was located.
And you
Based on
mentioned,
your, I'm sorry.
oh, sorry, you mentioned training. So you obviously have to resort to actually breaking the window. Is that kind of a last resort? When do you actually have to do that? How serious was the situation? Were there other ways to?
Well, we tried to exhaust all measures by opening the trunk and looking for, there should be a button inside of the car for submersion, or when you're submerged in water. And we were unable to get the citizen to do so. He was just worn out and he was overwhelmed. We were beginning to be overwhelmed as well because we had been out there for a few minutes, and you have water that's well over 4.5 feet. So, you know, you have to act really quickly.
And so was he close to drowning? Like, how serious was it for him? You mentioned he's exhausted being in the car.
He's exhausted. His age is a factor. Underlying health issues that we don't know about. We don't know if he hit a tree prior to that situation, or could have had an accident, or if he hydroplaned into the situation. There's a major drainage system, a system that's located right in the curve, right in front of the Atlanta City Jail. So we had to act quickly before it started to whirlpool.
About how much time would you say that he had before things really went south? And, you know, based on your training, about approximately how quickly, time-wise, can these things take a turn?
It can take a turn in seconds. I would guesstimate that he was out there well over 8 minutes before we were able to get to him.
And Captain, I think you had mentioned when you waited in, you actually ended up moving the vehicle to a.
I actually did. I was able to, if you notice that the front part of his car was submerged in water, and so that's due to the engine weight. So I was able to maneuver the car away from the whirlpool and pull it to a safer area where the water was much lower than where he was initially located.
So that's originally what you did when you saw the car?
Yes. The reason for that, he was unable to get out of the vehicle, and the water was quickly rising inside of the car. So just to get balance and homeostasis to some degree, to get him to a safer location, yes.
So the pressure of the water kept the doors from opening?
Absolutely, yes it did.
People are gonna see this video and think, these are two heroes. Do you guys see yourself as heroes?
No.
Why not?
Because we train for this.
This is what we,
Yeah,
you
this is
know,
what we do.
this is what-
From my end, I'm sorry, God is the only hero for me. And but I would like to say that me and Officer Brian, we're angels. Absolutely, we're doing God's work.
Captain, you said you've been here 20 years and you had seen floods.
I have,
Atlanta.
yes.
Talk to me about the infrastructure and why that factored, how that might have factored in here.
Just the system being overwhelmed possibly. And I'm not in watershed, of course, so I don't want to go too deep into something that I haven't been educated on in that way. So
But the heavy rain and it filled
heavy rain, the area will become overwhelmed easily, quickly, yes.
How dangerous of a situation is it, I mean, not only for the guy in the car, but for you guys being in that much water? I mean, you don't know what's going in there, you don't know if there's
Well,
contribution.
the biggest danger, when you think about it, is that the manholes, or when those plates rise, me and this officer could have been sucked away easily.
Did that ever cross your mind when you're going in to save someone?
No, you're just relying honestly on your training, and we were able to jointly mitigate the effort very fast. So I'd like to thank Officer Brian, because without him, there's no way that I could have gotten that gentleman out of the car, and neither could he without me. So just a joint effort on both the Atlanta Fire Rescue Department and the Atlanta Police Department, we were able to get the citizens to safety.
And Officer Brian, what were some of the emotions you were feeling as you had to kind of jump in and break this window? I saw the video, it was very compelling. I don't know if thoughts were going through your head.
At first, you know, I was confused trying to figure out what was really going on. But as I got closer, hearing bystanders shouting, we definitely, it was time to work, and I know we always say, another day on the job, but we can safely say that because of our training, because if without our training, another day on the job would not be as such, with, built up confidence and to be able to go in, de-escalate or, a situation, or be able to make that situation become safe.
What does or should this situation say to drivers and folks who see this and folks who are out on the road in flooded flooding weather?
Simply when we have flash floods, you should simply avoid the area. And if you are in a precarious position of being caught, get on top of your roof if you can and wait for help.
Yeah, I
Captain,
know.
you said you were here 20 years, I'm sorry, and how long have you been on the force?
11 plus years.
11. I'm sorry, what were you saying? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was saying, a lot of times people see the water and decide, I think I can actually go through. And I think that's probably what the gentleman was going through. But then you don't know, these vehicles, depending on the lowering of the vehicle, different things, factors may make that vehicle stuck. And, if you're not able to, because, it's a good thing that it actually happened right outside our actual police headquarters, or safety headquarters, I should say.